Hello, welcome to Life Matters. I'm your host, Brendan O'Connell. Well, we have a very special guest all the way from Lafayette, Louisiana. She had to go through bios and avoid alligators and crocodiles and mosquitoes, but she made it here to the show today, and we're grateful she did. I just want to give you a little brief synopsis of our guest today. She joined the Louisiana Right to Life in 2014 as a legislative liaison for the Acadiana Outreach Coordinator, and in August of 2015 began pursuing a Master's of Divinity degree right here in Boston College School of Theology and Ministry. And she continues her work with Louisiana Right to Life in Boston as the New England Life and Leadership Project Director. In this new capacity, she's collaborating with the National Right to Life affiliates in New England area to foster more youth education and training initiatives in this area of the country. Well, welcome, Sarah Mary Toce.
Thank you, Mr. Brendan. It's nice to be here with you.
Well, great to have you. And I was going to say, Sarah Mary, how did you initially get involved with the Right to Life?
It was definitely not by choice completely. I was working a couple of jobs right out of college, and I found myself begging that God would let me do something that would help people in a more hands-on kind of way. And one day I sat down in prayer and I told him he was either gonna give me something that I could bring about the kingdom or I quit. And an hour later I had an interview for this position, and it's proven to bear more fruit than I could have ever expected in my life and in my family's. So.
Well, I was down at the Right to Life convention this year in New Orleans,
Yes,
and I was told that you were there. I didn't see you, or
Yes, sir.
maybe she didn't see me. But I'm not that memorable. But anyways, so what brings you, what kinds of pro-life, I mean, Louisiana is like the #1 pro-life state in the country or close to it.
Yes,
What are some of the things that going on down there that they've been able to pass pro-life legislation and things of that nature?
Sure. Right when Roe v. Wade went through and became a federal law, and a Louisiana team of educators really are what changed our entire city. We actually prevented a couple of abortion clinics from coming into our town strictly through education efforts. So several doctors, several activists got together and they put education materials together and showed women just the truth of what was going to happen if they did take advantage of this choice. So.
And was that in Lafayette itself, or was that throughout all of Louisiana?
It was mostly throughout the Acadiana area is where we started our efforts. However, our state organization has just seen so much support, so we take over the whole state, and education efforts are spreading into the north as well.
And now you've come up here, well, tell us a little bit about your background. Where did you go to college and
Sure.
that sort of thing?
I was all over the place. I started at the University of San Diego, where I was doing peace and justice. I ended up coming back to Louisiana. Shortly after that, I did 6 months in Aix-en-Provence, France, and then I graduated LSU with a disaster science and management degree. So I didn't realize that the disaster I'd be managing later on would be in the pro-life world. So.
Well, disaster, was that after Hurricane Katrina? That became a major after Hurricane Katrina?
Right, yes, sir. Actually, I was working for Homeland Security for a while during the BP oil spill, and then, of course, right after Katrina. And so during that time, they implemented a major because it doesn't seem like Louisiana can stay out of trouble at all. So.
Well, now you've come up here to this frigid climb, and she's yet to experience winter, so good luck on that. But what are you doing actually up here? What are you studying and that sort of thing?
Sure. So I've been wanting a degree in theology, and the Lord opened the doors, which has been such a blessing for me. But so I'm getting a Master's of Divinity, which is a theology degree with more of a pastoral kind of emphasis. And I'll be up here for 3 years. And so once my organization found that I was coming up, they decided that they could outsource me, and perhaps I could just add another tentacle to what is already the wonderful pro-life movement in Boston through youth education efforts. So.
So you're going to be going out to the youth, are you, to speak? I know we have Linda Thayer, a biologist, who
Yes.
goes out and speaks to youth about biology, about what all happens. What will you be doing? What do you see? Are you going to be coordinating New England states, or what is your pastoral mission while you're here?
So we're starting with the Boston area, Vermont, and Rhode Island. We're starting with different dioceses, different affiliates, concerned citizens. What we're hoping to do is really to kind of just add on to what Miss Linda is already doing so wonderfully. So she's presenting a biology, a respect life, which is wonderful. And all I'm hoping to do is follow that up with something more nuts and bolts of the Pro-Life 101 message. So it would offer students more of a way of how to approach this issue and how to actually dialogue about the topic instead of, getting cornered or presenting it in a manner that's not compassionate. So that's our hope, is that we'll be able to teach young students how to approach the pro-life message with compassion and a firm stance in the truth.
Well, for instance, if a young person is approached with, for instance, with a pro-life march here once a year, and oftentimes the opponents come out and say things like, "It's my body," how would you respond, or how would what do you teach these youngsters, or what ages are we talking about here as far as your programs? How old are they, and
Sure.
what are they?
The programs that we're trying to promote in Boston, we are trying to start with students in the high school. So 9th grade to 12th grade is really where we're really trying to start the conversation. However, we do have initiatives in Louisiana that start as young as pre-K, but our main focus up here is high school. So the biggest thing is, we tell our students that we just need to stay on topic, because no matter what, if the child inside of the womb is in fact a child, then there's no reason, there is nothing that justifies the termination of that child's life. And the circumstances can be extremely gruesome, and compassion needs to be the first step of the pro-life movement. However, we just need to really take into consideration that if our best solution is to terminate the child's life for whatever really awful circumstances a woman finds herself in, I think women just deserve better answers than that.
Mm-hmm. And now, where do you hope to get these people from? Where are these children or teenagers? How are they going to connect with you, or how are you going to connect with them?
Sure.
What have you conjured up to do
So
that?
the plan, what we're trying to do is, so we have a large youth summit, which is our final goal, is what we're trying to do is a big pro-life immersion day or weekend or rally, and we want to just host as many students as we can and give them the rundown of all of the ways to approach this issue and what the pro-life movement needs to look like now. Because it's a different generation, and we're taking the woman more into consideration, and as we should have been from the beginning, but so we want to offer that to them, and the tangible, practical ways that needs to be done. So we start, but we've sort of modified that whole weekend experience into this hour presentation. So our hope is that I would be invited into schools, CCD classes, church programs, to offer, the Pro-Life 101, I actually, in Vermont, I was invited, I spoke to 90 students throughout the course of a day. I gave about 7 Pro-Life 101 talks, and then I'll be following it up with a chastity conversation in the near future. So that is offering me an opportunity to establish the relationships with the students that is my favorite part, but it's so necessary to cultivate the culture so that they know that I'm in the trenches with them, and hopefully they'd want to join us in this summit in the long run. So the hope is that church parishes will start inviting us in for the Pro-Life 101 message that we have to offer.
I see. Now, when you say Pro-Life 101, what kind of things are you talking about in that 60-minute period?
Sure. So we start with a call to compassion. The first thing we're leading with is to make sure that if a student is upset about the issue of abortion, that because it's affected more of us than we'd like to say, but if a student has any kind of connection with the situation, we want to make sure that they're getting mad at the issue of abortion and not the people involved. There needs to be a big separation. So we start with the call to compassion. I offer them that, my intentions are just to help them think more critically. I have no intention of trying to manipulate them by any means, which I know a lot of emotion can go into this, but we offer facts, figures, statistics, the science, the procedure. We actually use imagery that comes from the medical textbooks that doctors themselves use when they learn the procedure of abortion, so we don't add any graphics, no gore. We talk about the history of how, what Planned Parenthood has stemmed from and how many abortions are happening there. So it really is the development of the child is breezed over a little bit, and just to really drive that point home that from the moment of conception, when that entire new, beautiful genetic makeup is conjured up, that is no less human than my students are, who I'm speaking to right in front of me. So that's really our main point, is just that we stay on topic, and we do address the hard cases, rape, incest, life of the mother, life of the baby. If a young girl's too young, we talk about those realities and what that looks like.
Now, were you doing this type of work in Louisiana?
Yes, sir. Yep, I was doing it all over well, we call them parishes. Y'all
Right.
call them counties, but I was doing it over about an 8 or 9 parish region in Louisiana. I saw about 7,000 students in about a year and a half. So it was over 50 schools.
Is that the Arcadian area?
The
of Louis-
Acadiana area. That's right.
I see. Now, if these high school students, I don't know, you stay in touch with them, I presume, through email or Twitter or
yes.
Facebook or something, and then do you have a summer program like they have? I think Mass Citizens Life has some type of
Yes,
summer program.
they do.
How are you similar, or not similar, or is there a difference, or?
We're really, the reason I came up here was more to help add fuel to the fire. So essentially our Camp Joshua program is something in itself, but Mass Citizens for Life has been doing something very similar to that. So our hope is that in an area like Vermont that maybe hasn't had one, we can concoct one there brand new. But with Mass Citizens for Life, my hope is just that we can get, like you said, a consistency, a follow-up, and an effort to maintain relationships with the students so that the pro-life message and world doesn't just end after a summit or after a presentation. I want them to embody it for a long time, when push comes to shove and they find a friend in need, or a woman.
Well, perhaps we could take a look at the minute or 2 minute trailer that
Sure.
we have
Yeah,
on
that'd be
Camp
wonderful.
Joshua. That would be great.
I've never had more fun and never not wanted to leave the camp before. I wish I could stay here forever.
Basically, we are the generation that's going to stop this. So we need to be educated and know how to debate and talk to people and change people's lives.
I've come in contact with a lot of pro-choice people, and I never really knew how to explain why we're pro-life to them.
When you feel like you don't have enough courage to speak up for what you believe in, and you see all these people here like our age, it gives you the courage to get out there and really spread the word of God.
The Life and Leadership Youth Camp Initiative is an exciting new program with a simple goal: train, equip, and motivate a new generation of pro-life leaders ready to build a culture of life in our nation. There are 3 camp models within the Life and Leadership Initiative. Camp Esther is a 1 or 2 day program for middle school students. Camp Esther serves as the introduction to the pro-life movement, calling students to step forward in defense of life for such a time as this. Camp Joshua is the flagship model of the Life and Leadership Initiative. Over the course of a weekend, high school students are trained to be the voices that will bring down the walls of the culture of death. The Nehemiah Life Institute is the advanced week-long program equipping high school and college students to be the leaders of today who will rebuild the culture of life. All 3 camp models are a dynamic combination of inspiring education and hands-on training, topped off with a number of fun social activities. The Life and Leadership Youth Camp Initiative is a project of National Right to Life, Louisiana Right to Life, and Wisconsin Right to Life. We look forward to working with you to spread the pro-life message and form the future leaders of the pro-life movement.
Now, and what has been the result? how many years has this been going on, and has it fostered people coming in and being active participants in the pro-life movement?
Yes. So it's actually been almost a decade that we've been doing this in Louisiana, and we're just finding that the hope of all of this is that we're going to create a culture that ends the demand for abortion, that we're going to raise up young leaders who are concerned about infrastructure problems that are creating overpopulation issues, who are concerned for a woman who's been raped, and who will structure a society that addresses that issue, not at the expense of a child. So it's been outrageous. I mean, these kids are getting together one-on-one to pray outside of abortion clinics, to offer information. They're gaining track at their schools. They're working with their parishes. They're working with leaders in the political movement. A lot of them are looking to head into politics and make this an issue, and in their agendas. And it's just it's a beautiful thing to see that when the truth clicks for them, how dedicated they are to really fix this problem, and I do want to just add that Camp Joshua, Nehemiah, and Esther, they're not religious camps. They're more. We have taken those figures from the Bible because of their leadership stories from the Bible. However, we really are focused on the abortion issue as for what it is, which is a human rights one, and God is no less or more in that. We really try to keep this based on the human rights perspective for both the mother and the child.
Now, I wanted to switch over a little bit because I believe you were a legislative liaison. What kinds of legislations have you been involved in, or in the last 5 or 6 years has Louisiana been involved in? For instance, are there many abortion clinics in Louisiana?
Right. So we have 5 abortion clinics in Louisiana. We passed a bill very similar to Texas's bill, where we would need admitting privileges for abortion doctors. So our hope is that if a clinic begins an abortion, that they would have immediate contact with a hospital where they could complete it if a complication came about. So really just a way to make it safer for the woman if she's choosing to have this procedure. So if that happens, we'll have, if it goes through officially, we'll have less abortion clinics in Louisiana. However, currently we have 5. So our bills range from everything from a woman needs to see an ultrasound before she decides if she wants to have her abortion, all the way to, where the buffer zones and the requirements for recording maybe the gender or, all these different things of the child. So we just see in Louisiana, we're very blessed to have a legislature that is majority pro-life and is just very willing to work with us, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, all of it. So,
well, in fact, I was reading just yesterday, I read the 100 most influential pro-lifers. Neither you nor I was in it.
Yet.
But there was a lady from Louisiana. Her name is Sharon Weston Broom,
Yes.
and she's a Democrat.
Yep.
And tell us about her. Do you know about her?
Oh, yes, sir, I do. Miss Sharon has been just a warrior for our movement. I mean, there isn't a bill that she's afraid to carry. Also, Representative Katrina Jackson, she's also carried one of our toughest bills and caught a lot of heat for it.
What was that?
That was the admitting privileges bill that we pushed for, and she was the one, an African American Democratic woman, both of them, and they have been fearless leaders in our movement, and they really set this to a whole new level for people who are in it.
Right.
So.
Well, I think she was involved with legislation regarding the fetal heartbeat and ultrasound, that they would to be necessary in Louisiana. Has that taken place, or has that passed?
Well, in Louisiana, we actually have a bill that's in place that we have 2. So we have one that whenever Roe versus Wade overturns in the federal government, abortion is immediately going to be illegal in Louisiana. Then outside of that, children, we have a law that says once the child can feel pain, which is at about 20 weeks, that no more abortions.
In utero, 20 weeks in utero.
Correct. Yes, sir. That's right. An abortion cannot be performed. So The heartbeat and ultrasound, yes, that is implemented. However, you know, we've been able to keep abortions going. Prevent abortions from happening in the last trimester. So.
I know that Alabama, Mississippi, they seem also to
Yes.
they've been very much pro-life states. The South has been
Yes.
very pro-life, and you've come up here to the other end of the spectrum, I think.
It was a little too easy down there. So.
Is that? Okay. Well, will you be involved at all with legislative things while you're up here for 3 years?
You know, I am open to it. My main focus is going to be the youth right now, hitting this issue at the heart and not necessarily the legislation currently. However, Vermont does intend to take me through their state capitol, maybe to introduce me to a few politicians. So it's always good to show support to the legislators that are willing to stand with us for life. So I hope to be a part of that. However, pushing bills, I mean, being that I'm not a voter here yet
Right.
anyway, so, you know.
Right, so it'd be something maybe down the road if you were to stay here in Massachusetts.
Yes.
And what do you hope to, what are some of the things down in Louisiana that pro-lifers do that you don't see it here, or you don't hear people talking about it here? Are there things that they do that maybe we should be doing?
You know, the more that I've been very impressed by the hope that is within the pro-life movements in the New England area. I was warned that this would not be as welcoming as an environment for the pro-life movement as was Louisiana. However, you know, really, the main difference is that we're just much better received. It seems like there's a lot more hurt here, perhaps. Perhaps, you know, when we have all of our abortion clinics basically have a pregnancy center attached right next to it. So that's something that we've done intentionally to make sure that if a woman does decide, you know, to keep her baby, then she can walk right next door. From what I've seen, you know, we don't have a Planned Parenthood in Louisiana that's operating as an abortion clinic. So that's a big thrust in a positive way for us. And however, you know.
Didn't Bobby Jindal defund?
Yes, sir.
Did he defund Planned Parenthood in Louisiana?
In Louisiana? Well, tax dollars
tax dollars
have never gone to an abortion clinic in Louisiana. Our state tax dollars. We don't fund abortion clinics.
You don't?
We've had that bill for a while.
Well, then what was it that Governor Jindal was doing?
Well, there's a new movement, right, to defund them completely. So I think that he was jumping on the efforts to do that with the federal taxes and everything.
I see. And how have you found Governor? Have you met Governor Jindal?
Oh, yes, sir.
You have?
Yes, sir. He's a preacher.
Oh, he is?
He preaches.
I see. I saw him down at the National Right to Life Convention. He's most affable and insightful, I found. So I enjoyed him when I was down there listening to him. We had quite a few presidential candidates actually speak.
Sir.
So even Rick Perry said, of Texas, the governor of Texas says, "I look east and I see Bobby Jindal."
Yeah.
So, anyway,
he's a great man. He's been fearless as well.
Now, what is your hope while you're up here to do for the pro-life movement? If you were to leave a legacy, what would that be?
If I were to leave a legacy, well, I hope that I am forgotten and the message is remembered. But my hope is that these students are going to get a perspective that perhaps they're not getting from the media, and that they're going to become critical thinkers. My hope is that we're going to create a culture and create a society that addresses the issues that women are actually concerning women, and that they will be given something better than abortion. So I hope that our young students will figure out those solutions, that they won't be scared to get messy with the women, that they won't be afraid to get messy in the government, and figure out a way to solve real life issues that's not just as simple as terminating a pregnancy.
Right. And one final question. The colleges here, we've got a lot of them in the Boston area. Will you be going out and about at the colleges?
I would love to. I'm trying to reach out to Harvard currently, the pro-life group there, and the pro-life group at BC. So it's all a matter of students are busy, so we're trying to finagle that. But I would love, because we need them as our leaders at these youth summits. So I would love to get colleges involved. And really, I mean, anybody. We have a ton of Right to Life groups that aren't religious affiliates, you know, so this message goes all the way, all full circle.
Full circle. Well, Sarah Mary Toce, thank you so much for coming here on the show
Thank you,
today.
sir.
And we hope that your endeavors while you're here, both your studies and your work in the pro-life movement is successful, and that we go to your graduation 3 years from
Thank you.
now.
I hope I get there too.
Well, I hope you enjoyed today's show and found it unique, informative, content-rich, truthful, and thought-provoking. Thanks for watching. I'm Brendan O'Connell, your friend for life.